Coming to you live on the Government Access Channel from Mario Bagnoni Chambers in beautiful downtown Erie. It's the Taxpayers Hotline Show with your host, Kaz Kwiatkowski.
Well, I'm doing it solo today, so if you want to call in, the number's on the screen. Feel free to call. The rules are very simple. You can talk about any subject at all. Any question is fair game. Just keep it in bounds of good taste and try not to get personal about anybody, and we'll be okay. And so having said that, feel free to call in. The lines are now open. And it's been an interesting week. A lot of phone calls have come in from various people with various questions. One of the hottest topics, believe it or not, is the airport dog. I had numerous calls from people, and I wish I could tell them I knew some, but I don't. We have a meeting this week at the airport in which I hope to ask some questions. But, you know, from everything you read in the media, that there are people willing to step forward to finance it. And I think, judging by the fact that we do not have a dog any longer in the city, I think Mercyhurst got rid of their dog. And outside of the state police, that would probably be the only dog in the area. So I think, you know, between volunteerism of the public and even if they had to come to the various communities and ask for some support, I think it's something we should look at. I mean, we're not talking, I think, a huge amount of money. And my advice to the airport director would be, you know, he came here from a large city where something like this probably wouldn't be a big issue, but in a town like Erie, an issue like this becomes big. People identify with Smokey the dog and stuff like that. Let's go to our first caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I'd like to talk about that airport dog.
Yeah.
I hear the director say it's costing them $10,000 a year to maintain this dog.
Well, I talked to one director, and he said he's asked for information as to the cost, and he hasn't been given it yet, and that should be public record. I mean, you know, it's a public, the budget itself is a legal public document. They are a quasi-government organization, so their records are open as far as that goes.
That dog must be eating filet mignon.
Well, I you know, what I don't understand, John, and and here's what I'm going to ask. I think the meeting is Wednesday. I have it on my calendar. And I plan on being there. I too want to know what that price includes. I know the police officer is, I don't know if they're including him. And when you read about some of the facts, some of the money is paid for by the feds. Some are by, I'm not sure. I heard the airlines. So I don't know if the $10,000 is the airport share of the bill, and does that include the police officer too, or what? But
I wouldn't think it would.
what I could do is I'm going to ask our finance director, when we had dogs here at Erie, the approximate cost per dog. I know they're not cheap, John, because you got
they're trained and they're a special type of a dog.
well, once you get through the training cost, the big thing was, and when I was controller, I used to see this. There was obviously, you know, dog food, but we bought that in bulk, and then each officer took that, you know, his share home with him.
Yeah, he took his dog home with him, and the whole thing here.
And then they had mandatory, like, veterinary care. You know, they had to be,
If something went wrong, the only mandatory vet care would be when they had to get their up-to-date shots.
Yeah, that, and they had sometimes, like, when we had different dogs with, I got to know one of the police officers that had the fire dog and stuff, and they had to be like retested from time to time. You know, you hate to say it, but their noses do get burned out, you know.
Well, that's true, but you know, once those dogs are trained.
Yeah, they are, and you know, so there is a little cost, but you know, when you look at it, if you look at the figure $10,000, and you got, I saw it on TV, you have a young veterinarian doctor who said, you know, who stepped forward, and she said, you know, she would do it, and then you had various businesses that stepped forward and said they were willing to
contribute.
Yeah, I mean, so if there's anything left over, I'm sure if they went around to the various communities and said, hey, how about everybody pitch in a few dollars here and there, I think we would have it covered, you know.
Well, sure, and we should have a dog. I don't care how big the airport is.
Well, it's not just, here's the thing then, this is why I want to call the airport and find out, because there was various comments made about, you know, he's available to every community. So I'd just be curious how they handle that, you know.
Well, there's veterinarian emergency rooms all over the city.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as if other communities can use a dog, then outside the airport, you know, we do have you can come in. We do have you know, outside of the community, you know, the airport using it, the other communities can too.
It's true. I see you're going to have a meeting Thursday to discuss the
Panhandling?
Yeah, the vagrancy clause.
Right.
Panhandling would just be vagrancy, wouldn't it? Or just is that going to be strict panhandling?
Well, I'm not the one that set up the meeting, but I think it's going to be, if I remember, it'll probably be panhandling, vagrancy. It'll probably be all the issues connected with it. And I think what they want is one councilwoman or councilman is bringing in people from the mental health community and stuff like that. But I think it's something we got to talk about because, you know, people come up to me and they go, look, I understand and all that. They go, but, you know, when I'm downtown, I don't like to be bothered, you know.
Well, they're bothering all over, up at the mall.
Yeah, and another issue we got that
38th Street, 38th and Peach and Pine and all there.
And another issue we seem to be having, John, is not directly connect. Well, maybe it is connected in a way. You know, downtown is viewed as, you know, we're trying to turn it into this nice place that you can bring your family to eat. You can walk in the park like we used to years ago. You can go to the baseball game, the hockey game, the theater, and you know, just, you know, we're trying to change the image of it. And then we have people with, and this one came up too, about walking around downtown with beer cans in their hand. And we're one of the few cities that have that. Now, I was a young man. When I was in the service, I can remember we were walking down Virginia Beach and we got stopped. And they didn't care then about, you know, put the can away, you get another can at the other place. And I'm going, so we have to decide what we want out of our community.
Well, that's the way it was in the 60s. If you took out a can of beer on State Street, you'd get locked up.
But you know, John, that wasn't true. You know what? They did it illegally.
That's all right.
We found out all the laws we think we had were never on the books.
Yeah, but those walking patrol guys took care of State Street from 12th and State all the way down to the public dock.
You're right, but today they question the law. They'll go, well, show me the law. And they go, oh, we don't have a law. But in the old days, nobody questioned it. You know, they could make up a rule saying, you know, anything they wanted, and we obeyed because that was the proper thing to do in society.
Well, in the old days, I knew where they used to sell beer and whiskey and pint jars in local or grocery stores.
Yep. But I think, you know, it'll be a good meeting. And, you know, I've worked downtown all my life. And I worked at night as doing security for the parking authority. I've seen a lot of things. And I think I know what the people want to see. So I think there's an accommodation that can be made, you know, but...
Well, it's a good thing, but you got a problem. If your enforcement doesn't follow it and let it lax, what good is it?
Well, that's why I tell people, we can pass all the ordinances and all the rules here at council, but if the mayor does not, you know, and it's a mayor because he's the administrative head, if he doesn't, you know, make it clear to the department heads and the people in charge of enforcing these rules that, you know, that's the intent of council and that's the intent of the people.
So take that little gold badge off his collar.
Yeah, well, you know,
I mean, why wear it if you don't enforce what's on the books?
I don't think we're being mean. I think what we're saying is that
do the job.
We have to, you know, we got to clean up the city, and it's not going to be cleaned up overnight because it didn't get bad overnight. It's going to take. I made a comment that I'll probably be long gone by the time if it's a success, because it's going to take years, and you're going to have to change perceptions and mind how people think about things. We have to go back to what, you know, in the old days. I show pictures of the I showed a picture to a guy of 16th Street, John, okay? And it was a picture of me in my grandfather's arms. And I asked the guy what he saw, and he goes, well, that's a nice picture of a grandfather holding his grandson. I said, that was me. And he goes, that's a nice picture. I said, but you missed the whole point of the picture. I said, it took me 50 years to figure it out, and I missed it. You know what it was, John?
What was it?
It was the background of the picture.
And Central Market?
Nope, it was 16th Street, looking towards St. Paul Church. It'd be like looking from Morbido's back, But the street was clean, the hedges were cut, the grass was cut, there was no litter, no nothing.
Well, that's when we had the white knights walking the street.
But these were poor people, their properties were taken care of.
But true.
It was a mindset that even though you were not at the top of the income level,
Everybody took care of their property.
and I think that's what we have to go back to. It's real simple, I remember talking to I'm trying to think of his name, a nice gentleman, lived on 4th and Walnut. And he said, if everybody took care of their property, it'd be real simple. We wouldn't have the problem.
I hear the mayor on the show last week, he said he's going to be looking forward to, not looking forward to it, but it's going to be inevitable. There's a tax increase.
Well, it looks that way because if you look at, you got that.
Well, yeah, you got that bond that nobody knew what was going on.
Well, they knew that. No, look, we all got the same aging chart. Everybody else did. And if you looked at it, you could see the payments were going up. Everybody knew that when they voted on it. Everybody, me included. It was something that, we were looking at the market at the time and hoping that, we could keep it, because nobody wants to raise taxes. That's a sad reality.
But the problem is you're not raising the taxes for the right things.
Well, what do you say? Say what you mean, John. I'll tell you where you might be wrong.
Bond clip for police cars and repair.
I agree with you there. Here's what I told you my suggestion. Nobody wants to do it.
You have to do it.
I would say you got to be honest with the public, and it's going to hurt. They're going to scream and yell. Believe me, they're going to scream. They're going to call my phone till it burns off the hook. But I think what we should do is just tell them straight out. Look, it's going to cost us $1 million, $2 million a year in taxes to fix the roads properly, and then put a plan out there so that they can see it. Here's what we're going to do year by year. So that your road is on year 3 or year 4. You can, it's going to be painful, but it'll be done, and you follow through with that.
I think all the roads that are going to be refurbished or whatever, it should come down to council, and council should have the final say.
Well, here, I don't think I'm qualified to say what roads are bad, but I would agree with you at some point. But I think they need to sit down and say, look, have a giant study session with the public, go around and put all the roads in some kind of categories, and take care of them. And if you have to raise taxes to do it, that tax is dedicated. That doesn't use for nothing else but that.
And this partial paving of a road, I don't go for that.
No, but what they tried to do, John, was
they try to do a little bit for everybody. They should have a situation where they do the whole road, and then they're done. Not a patch here, and you get weather, it pulls it up, and they're back there again.
Yeah, I got a man on here. When you hear him, he's the man out in the street. He's got the heartbeat of the public.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
How you doing? I'm John Villa here with Neighborhood Watch.
John who?
Villa.
Villa?
No, Villa. V-I-L-L-A.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been involved in. He shares our vision, John, just like you. About things we have to do in every little neighborhood, and we have to allow people to take control of their neighborhoods. I think. They know what's wrong with them, and they know what needs to be done.
Well, sure. But then again, you got to have law enforcement, everything. When you call, they should come right away.
Well, I think John. I'm going to let John talk a little bit.
All right, I'll get off the line in case somebody else wants to come in. But you're on my hot button here, so.
That's okay.
Okay. Bye bye.
I didn't even know you were coming.
I was upstairs for a meeting, the East Side meeting. We're going from the Bayfront to 15th Street connector to French Street.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah. So we'll start in that area, see if we can clean that up and get it going and get some things done, and then move it to another neighborhood.
Well, I think, what's nice is the nuns are involved in that too, the sisters. Right? Yeah, they did a nice, I know people will say, you know, they look at 18th and 16th Street and it may be not where they want it to be, but
Right.
they have to remember what it looked like, you know, 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, it didn't take 5 years to get this way.
No, I mean,
It's been going this way for 40 years.
I remember I used to live down there way back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Different world, okay, different time set.
absolutely.
But in 2001, when I got elected, and at that time it was Mayor Flippy, and I remember, I think it was 2001 or 2002, we walked down the street, a massive display of solidarity, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that's when they decided that this was not going to be anymore. And, you know, Wally Brown
Right.
and his group and the sisters,
Right.
you know, over the years, it went along with the church, the group I belonged to, Mazzini Society, and that, you know, people were investing in that Little Italy area.
Right.
And although it's not perfect, I mean, you go down there now and you see the fruits of some of their labor.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's changing a
It's
little
getting
bit.
better.
And I think,
It takes time.
I even noticed, I laughed the other day, I went to St. John's,
Okay.
to Mass one day, and I looked at my wife and I said, look, a little garden out of nowhere with a little American
Yes.
flag.
Right.
And I said, that's a small sign, but,
It's something.
yeah, before, when I looked at that field, it was
It was a garbage lot.
yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
So I said, you know,
Cars.
what I tell people on the east side is you gotta do what Wally Brown did. You have to get behind the sisters, and there's a lot of legwork.
And we got a lot of groups there that are working on it.
And I think you do. You know, when I went around on Light Up Erie, you know, you had,
Yeah, you came by our neighborhood,
Yeah.
St. Stan's area.
yeah, they're all doing a good job,
Yeah,
but just,
we're all holding our own a little bit. It's just, you need more.
Yeah.
You need some education. You gotta get the people educated, you know, and it's the homeowners that are hanging in there.
Yeah.
They're picking up the garbage and cutting their hedges and cutting their grass. And it's some of the landlords that aren't.
yeah, and that's,
They're
and
not policing.
I've been,
tenants.
you know, even in my neighborhood, which is supposed to be in the green zone.
Right.
And I'm watching the deterioration slowly set in.
Yes.
And it's landlords that got too much property that don't really care. I was gonna say another word, but
And you got landlords now up by Mercyhurst.
that's the ones I'm talking about, my neighborhood.
That now all the kids moved on campus, they've got all these empty houses.
But they haven't got them all on campus yet, but.
No, not yet, but
But like, you know,
They're gonna be.
I'll tell you, the ones at the top of my hill have tapered down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happened was, I remember the guy that owned it, I don't want to say his name publicly, I would tell you off the air.
Yeah.
But he had an incident that I think shook him to the core. And after that, I think he put the law down.
yeah,
But these other landlords, and I know who they are because all you do is look in the property register.
yep,
And it's like every night's party night. We got people that don't even ask for permission to put their cars on the lawn that have done that.
parking on the lawn.
And then if you're a person on the other side or between them, your life is a living hell.
Oh, yeah,
And,
sure it is.
you know, so it's a step, and people were telling me there's parking issues, you know, because the kids aren't supposed to. Mercyhurst is saying you can't have a car on campus, but they bring them anyway,
Right,
you know. So, yeah, you know, you're right, John. It's like, and what happened, and I say that it's the old broken window theory.
absolutely.
One window breaks,
Yep.
you don't care about
You're
it.
gonna have another broken window.
But the second one breaks, you still don't really care about it. But then the third, fourth, and fifth break,
That's like somebody puts a sofa out where you're not supposed to.
yeah,
Person down the street sees it, he put his out, I'm gonna get rid of mine. Now you got 6 sofas out there.
yeah.
Now you gotta deal with trying to get that cleaned up.
And then you know this, I mean, I would never say it publicly. Well, I'm going to say it. You know, our guys are forced to pick it up.
Right, oh yeah, you gotta pick it up.
Because otherwise, then you who live next door to it got to put up with it.
Exactly, and I'm calling every day.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people. You know, even though you think, look, you to give us ammunition, councilmen and advocates like you have to report things and make sure you
Yes,
tell them
you gotta-
you want it on a report.
You gotta call it in.
Because if I call and I say, you know, I get a lot of complaints, well, we don't got any, you know, and
Yeah.
that's true sometimes.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. You know, people don't call it in, but they'll sit there and they'll complain about it. But you gotta call it in. If you got a police issue, call it in. Don't be afraid to call
And
it
the neighborhood
in.
watches like you're with are a good starting point.
Yeah, you gotta call it in. It may seem minor, But maybe to the police, it isn't.
No,
Because
in
every
fact-
call they attend to as best as they can, and then they've got on record, this house has got 7 calls to it. Well, I think we got a problem here.
Well, in fact, John, you've been there when, well, you know, all the groups get a police officer that comes by.
Yes.
And he usually, lately, I have to say this, they've been bringing the documentation, and they go down through the, you know, they check the complaints against you,
Oh, yeah.
and they say, well, we don't have that on record, you know.
Yeah, and then that teams, I mean, them guys are, them special
Hey, can you hang around?
Yeah, I can hang
Okay.
around. Sure.
Go ahead, caller.
Hi, I was listening in on your conversation here, and, you know, I was thinking about people in our neighborhood and stuff, and we have this one neighbor that lives on the corner, and her fence is literally, I mean, 90% gone. There's no paint on it. The boards are broken. It looks horrible. It really brings the neighborhood down. And I've talked to her. Other neighbors have talked to her. And, you know, she doesn't do anything. She's got the money. She can fix it, but she doesn't do anything about it because she knows it annoys everybody. And isn't that sad that that's the way the world is? That people will say and do things just to be mean and spiteful?
Yeah, it is. And do you have a neighborhood watch in your area, or?
I think they tried to put one together, and it wasn't really successful. I don't think that there were enough people. There's so much apathy that's going on, Kaz. People don't want to stand up for what's right, and then those that do get bullied when they do.
Well, I think sometimes people get upset because if we don't follow through, they feel like their calls are worthless. And that's one of the problems too. But people like John, not you don't have to tell me where you live, but what rough area?
I'm up right off of Peach Street there, and it's Peach and Miller.
Oh, okay.
It's absolutely sad because the neighborhood, people are trying.
Well, yeah, and that's viewed as I think you're in the green zone, what they consider. So, you know, you start with stuff like that. And did you try calling code enforcement?
Been there, done that. Yep.
I don't have, you know, I don't know if I have the number here. You have it, John?
Let me see if I can.
I should have brought my telephone book.
Yeah, I got
But, yeah, if you call code enforcement, tell them that, you know, you want them to look at it, because they tell me they got to be complaint driven now. But,
Yeah.
but you know, it's a little thing like that. That's what we were talking about with you don't have it, right?
No, not at
Ma'am, give me a call after the show, okay?
Okay.
At 870-11, Moss. Yeah, there you go. Call Moss Sala, 870-1111.
Okay.
That's, he's the new mayor's advocate for, he'll do a good job. He will listen to you and he'll mark it down. But that's you got a pen?
Yes, I do.
870-1111.
Okay.
Yeah, his name is Moss. He'll listen to you. And he does follow through.
He'll take it right to code.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an idea like John and I were talking about, the broken window.
Yep.
That fence looks bad and then everybody else says, why should I paint mine?
Right.
Yeah, and then it makes people want to move out of Erie when
Well, it does, indirectly. I mean, when you see your neighborhood flipping, you start thinking, is it time for me to sell my house before it's worth nothing?
Hey, not to bring up another uncomfortable topic, but
There's nothing uncomfortable.
I know that
Go
the
ahead.
Jefferson Society is really behind in their taxes.
Well, they have the money, but they're, my understanding, and understand this, the mayor has not presented anything to council yet formally. We only know that they've appealed, they've tried to get, they're trying to negotiate a pilot with the various taxing bodies. My opinion is that, you know, they had their day in court, and I think, you know, we have to be careful how many more pilots we agree to when we don't have to. It's not fair to the taxpayers. You know, that's lost revenue.
Yeah, well, you know, they cave in and give them what they want. Imagine the apathy that's going to be created in the citizens that have been trying to stand by Erie and stay here.
Well, I had a gentleman tell me, so if I put on some lectures in my house, can I have tax-free status?
Well, you know, my husband was a volunteer fireman for, 35, 40 years, and he risked his life never got paid a penny.
Right.
He would get up all hours of the day and night and go rescue people from burning cars or their burning house. He never got anything out of it. Do you think we could get a tax break, Cass?
No, they talked about giving volunteer firemen a tax break, and I'm not against it because you know what? They do a job that somebody, well, I'll say this off the top. I don't care about Summit and Mill Creek and Harbor Creek. They're doing well enough to afford fire departments if they want. But when you get out into the little communities, the Greenfields and the Platias and stuff, they don't have the money to really keep a full-time department on. So volunteers are very key and important out there. But any place you got like a huge business district, like Summit, and they got gambling money, I don't, I still feel sorry for the volunteers there. But I think, I understand the volunteers are in the little communities. There's a big risk out there.
Yeah, they work.
It's huge. It's huge. But anyways, Kaz, thanks for being here. I think that you do a tremendous job for the Taxpayer Hotline.
Well, I try. It's your show, so you determine what direction it goes in.
Well, you're a great moderator.
Well, thank you. I got John here. I'm glad he stepped by. He's got some interesting things I think you'll like to hear.
Well, I'll be listening. Thank you, and you two be well.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead. You can talk about anything you want, John.
Well, no, it's just the code enforcement thing, like she says.
Yeah.
It's, they're doing the best they can with what they got, but the process is so cumbersome.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me.
That's why this quality of life thing is going to be a good thing, because now they're going to be able to give somebody a ticket.
If we do our job.
If you do our job.
Right.
But you've got to.
Because council's asked them, what tools do you need in your box? We'll give it to you.
That's what they need.
Go ahead, caller.
Code enforcement, 870-1470.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we gave her Moss Saylor's number. He's been a pretty good asset lately.
Moss is more than an asset.
Oh.
He categorizes everything down. He puts when you call.
And he's the first guy that ever gives me, I always ask for an answer back, and I never get it.
Oh, yeah.
But with Moss, I get an answer back.
He'll email you. He'll call you on the phone. And, I talked to him the other day because I had a real fortunate deal down at the treasurer's office down there. I overpaid my tax, the school tax.
Right.
And she caught it right away and showed me all that. And I wanted to call and thank Sue that she has a wonderful working staff down there.
Oh, she does. There's some great ladies in that office.
A lot of times I say it like it is. If you're doing a lousy job, I'll tell you. If you're doing a great job and you've helped me and other people, I'll let it be known too. And one other thing.
Yeah.
You're getting a little late on time. I think it's time that the police department, you got to get a hold of the traffic division, and they crack down on these drivers that are riding right on your tail, going through red lights and speeding. 38th Street, it's 35 miles an hour posted. Why, I have no idea. I think the state did that when they made a mistake.
Yeah.
Because you're going from State Street to Pine Avenue for 25 miles an hour, and then they jacked it up to 35 miles an hour. And then these people are going through there at 16, 70 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. I've been blown off the road up there many times.
I've seen a lot of birds of paradise at me because I try and go the speed limit. I go maybe 5 miles above it.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah.
The whole thing here is, we got to start doing something. And one more quick thing. How many citations has code enforcement issued?
Well, what they told us at the budget meeting that time and the study session, not many. And that's what bugged council. Like we told them, we said, well, what do you need? Tell us what you need to do it. Do you need some more tools or what? Like I say, what good is, warning people and then forgetting about them? And like we send out citations on grass. They don't cut it because they got all summer to wait. Then winter comes and we don't have the problem no more. And we repeat the same problem in spring. But they admitted they haven't done a lot of citations.
Yet, why did they hire another person to watch the Lower West Side?
Well, he actually did a good job. He actually went out to...
I understand
My
that.
question was, how could he write 1,000 citations?
Yeah, how can
And the
he
rest of
do
the
his
departments
job?
couldn't.
Because it was a new job a nice paycheck, and what are the rest doing?
Well, they say this is what they told us, they're driven by complaints, yet we've given them, tablets, they got cars, they got everything they need.
Got a computer too, don't they?
And I say, how can a councilman drive down Pine Avenue, like I do every day to come down to City Hall, or, the various streets I take around the community, how come I can see things that need to be looked at? We got cars on Parade Street parking on the sidewalks.
On 38th Street parking on the sidewalk.
Yeah, but, you look at the town, here's what you gotta do. You gotta look at the city as if you were an out-of-towner and you knew nothing about it. And just say, is this what would be your first impression of Erie? You walk down Parade Street, you got blockaded sidewalks, cars being worked on the street. You go, is that what you want?
I think a lot of the issue with the code is that these guys are out there doing what they got to do, but it's such a cumbersome process right now.
And it breaks down to JP level.
Then it goes to the district justice.
But
and the district justice could dismiss it, or district justice can say, okay, well, I'm going to give him another 10 days, 20 days to cut his grass. The code guys, they're out there doing it because I see them all the time. They're out there giving warnings, but they have to come back and they got to fill out a report. They got to send a letter. The letter goes to the homeowner or to the landlord.
Whose fault is that? Fifth floor.
Well, now we gave them the tool with the...
Well, and hopefully we're going to give them a tool with this quality of life where they can ticket right on the spot.
Yeah, they don't have to...
We're not going to go through the district justice unless this guy doesn't pay that ticket.
You remember that famous building on 12th Street, John?
Which one?
The Dresden War Museum?
Yeah.
On 12th and Bayfront? Or 12th and the highway? That factory, right?
Oh, yeah, the old factory.
There you had a JP that threatened a guy with jail time and everything. Nothing was ever done. You go by there now, it's a little done, but the other building's going bad now.
Right.
That's because the owners live out of town.
Well, you know what?
Well, that's beside the point. The point is that the case went to district justice. District justice gave them more time.
Well, I'll tell you, we took one guy up here where I live down to the district justice, and the district justice gave him so much time. If that wasn't going to be the case, he would send it down to the county courthouse, and they would do it. District justice doesn't have as much clout as the federal courthouse does. Once he refers it to the federal courthouse or the county courthouse, they do something, because the fine's like $1,000 a day. Well, I got a lot off my chest today.
No problem.
Nice meeting you.
You lost about 20 pounds today, John.
Yeah.
Hey, but, did you get the free beer up in Cleveland last week?
No, I didn't.
Bud Light all day long. All night long after they won.
John's going to kill me here, but it's been a great 360 days, John.
Yeah, hey, what happened?
Army beat Navy.
Yeah.
My team's going
I didn't mean to do that to you.
No, that's all right. They did.
But Cleveland winning, that's like... Well, here's the thing, though. Let's not get excited. Let's hope that the kid improves going forward.
Yep, give him some time.
Oh, yeah? I go back to Joe Buffalino's day.
Oh.
For the Navy, when he won the Heisman.
Yeah.
I saw him play with New England.
I met Joe a few times.
I saw him play with New England at War Memorial in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He's a little guy.
Nice. Oh, yeah, he's not much bigger than me.
Yeah?
Yeah, great guy.
He's like Doug Flutie.
That's on my bucket list. I'm trying to get to the Army-Navy game. But I unfortunately have to sit with the Navy at the tailgate party, and they're probably going to work me over bad, but...
You'll have to have a couple of drinks.
You'll enjoy it, and regardless who wins, they're playing for all of us.
It's the greatest game ever played, let me tell you.
Yep, it's a good game.
Tampa's going to take care of my Steelers tonight, watch. They got a guy that throws to the wrong jersey on Pittsburgh's team. In fact, I got a bobblehead doll of Big Ben. I'm going to turn it upside down on my mantle today. Have a good one.
See you, John.
Right, take care.
So, some of the rules we have to deal with are got to be changed.
Well, they do. It's old-fashioned. It's cumbersome. We got to get with the new age. This quality of life ticket, and I'm going to keep harping on it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they we gave them the tool now.
You guys got to pass it.
We're going to. At least I am. Go ahead, caller.
Okay, Kaz, I got a solution for you with these cars parked on the grass.
Yeah.
8th Street and all over the place?
Yeah.
You're familiar with the Sunflower Club?
Yeah.
Okay, right across the street there's a Times News credit union.
I didn't know that, but I think I know what you're talking about.
And a couple years ago, a lot of members were parking in their lot, and they couldn't get their customers in the credit union.
Right.
So they hired a tow truck. And the tow truck came in and started yanking them cars out. They were paying $100, $150 to get them out of Hawk. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You go over there now, and if Sunflower put a sign up, don't park in their lot. There's not one car ever parked in a Times News car.
You're right.
Set a tow truck up on 38th Street and yank a couple of those cars off that lawn, and it's going to spread. You got to go get your car out of Hawk for $150. You watch how fast they stop parking on the grass. Makes it look like a dump and a sidewalk. It blocks people from walking. I'm telling you, you just pull a couple cars, tow them out of there, and that will stop.
The trouble is you can't get anybody to want to do it. Hey, here's a...
Wait a minute. Isn't the code enforcement in the city of Erie, can't they do that?
Well, actually, when you get on, let's see, it's complicated. When you're on the lawn, it's code enforcement.
Right.
If you're on the sidewalk, it's a police department. And out on the street, it's a police department. The problem is that you're legally, I shouldn't say this, but you're legally allowed to park on your lawn if you go through proper channels, which means you have to get the city engineer to come down, determine whether what you're doing will cause problems with the drainage in the area. Because what you're supposed to do is not park on your lawn. You're supposed to either blacktop it, pave it, or put suitable material like gravel.
Yeah, we're going to put a driveway.
But you have to give them a reason why you need to do that. And see, on 38th Street, we know what the reason is. You're only supposed to have 3 people in the house, yet they got 6 and 8. And there's another problem that we can't go in there, and that's another one, John. We can't go in there legally. Firemen, I think the fire inspector can, but not the code people.
Yeah, the code can't go in.
So, I mean, they get away with it. They start, and I don't think at our end, and that's just where I'm going to jump on them, they need to go down the street and just take a random, one day, look at who's got cars on the sidewalk and see if they got permits. If they're allowed to be on the front lawn. Then you're right, then tow them out.
Well, you know, Kaz.
Yeah.
Ago, I was involved in a neighborhood watch in our area up to that little church off of Wayne, or Ash up in there.
Yeah, I mean Lamb of God.
Yeah, and we went, the same thing we're talking about now. This is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The same answers that we were given, which you're giving me now. Nobody can do nothing about it. Nobody can pull a car. It's against the city laws.
It's not against it. You just can't get any mayor or anybody in the police department. We tell them all the time, go in there and do something. And I'll give you an example. Do you remember, you were there when Jimmy Thompson and all of us were there, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay, do you remember when we brought up that, Councilman Mirsky, and I wasn't a councilman then, I was a controller. And we were all over him, and Merciers actually gave the city money to have a code guy go through there at night.
Right.
And they did nothing. And that's what bothered Bobby Mirsky and I, that they had all this money and the time to do it, and they did nothing. And for some reason, nobody wants to tow cars. And I'm going, why? Why? You, as a homeowner, you can tow somebody off your property, but like the city, the police department or the mayor has to go out there and say, okay, let's start towing vehicles. And there's a reluctance a lot of times. And I don't know why that is, but, they know that I'm not happy. I mean, I tell them all the time, that neighborhood's going to crap slowly.
I tell the story again, right across from the Sunflower.
And I agree with you. And you're right. You're absolutely right.
On a week, and there's never, ever, this is 4 or 5 years ago, you'll never see a car parked there, even at nighttime when the place is closed. Nobody parks there because they know they're going to get towed. And that solved the problem.
Yeah, it did. And, I will bring I will do it again. I'll ask them to tow and stuff. But I know John's here, he might get mad at me, but a lot of times we call up and we're talking about issues of noise and everything. They just don't come by. They don't take it serious. We even had one case where the kids were drinking openly on 38th Street, and they had a sign that says, honking will drink. And guess who honked? You want to guess? The fire truck. Now, that was an embarrassment. That was, here we are trying to, it's.
But, another thing you got to consider too is, if you got kids out drinking, we've got, maybe sometimes you got 5 or 6 cops on a shift.
Yeah.
That's it. Some kid out front, 38th Street drinking, it's probably the least of his worries when he's down anywhere else doing what he's got to do. And it's all a priority. When we only have 173 officers for a city of this size, that when the heyday, what did we have, Kaz? 300 officers, I don't remember, I don't know right offhand. But we only have 173 officers on the street. That's not many officers at all.
Which is why I was mad when we had that sweep that time with the added money.
Yeah.
They just didn't.
I understand that. Our cops have more problems with drugs and shootings and all this stuff. I understand that. They're not babysitters. Mm-hmm. Do we know who has to do this? Mercier's College. They have security guards. I'm not saying they go on 38th Street and write citations. Just take down the house numbers. Just take out. They know who lives in those houses.
Well,
Caller, you still live in that neighborhood?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, that neighborhood watch group, Southeast Hills, just started back up meeting again.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, they took a couple of years off, but now they're meeting again. They've had 2-3 meetings already this year. And I mean, if you've got concerns, the chief of police of Mercyhurst goes to them meetings, and so does the neighborhood action team police guys. So if you've got a concern about anything that's going on at the university, you would talk to Chief Furman and tell him, and he will take care of your concern. I know he will, because he's been at the last couple of meetings and he's taken notes and he's acted on it. So before you can start banging on the university, give him a shot and talk to Chief Furman.
We went through this 10 years ago. Know what they told us? Mercier is not responsible for anything off their property.
Yeah, legally, he's right. They can't go off unlike Gannon. Gannon is the only, to my knowledge, are the only police department that has a memorandum of understanding with the Erie Police, and you can actually get a ticket around Gannon here. Don't be surprised if they give you a ticket or arrest you. They have jurisdiction like the Erie Police Department around their campus. But Mercier's and like Erie Insurance and Hammett, their security departments do not have that luxury. Years back, there was one president, I think it was Gamble, wanted to send Mercier's off campus. But since that time, I think they don't want to send them off. And so they haven't approached the city about allowing their police officers to do that.
Yeah, but there's always a Erie police officer at them meetings too, so he's taking notes, and he works with Chief Furman up there. Chief Furman says, hey, I got a problem at this address. These guys are going to go there and address it. Either though that I know too that Chief Furman up there will find out who's maybe living in that house and talk to them or send them a note or something and say, hey, look, you guys got to calm it down a little bit.
And
they tried to address it the best they can.
I think the problem was too, we had some neighbors lined up, and we went to the district justice at the time, and he just threw them out.
And that's out of everybody's control.
And people just got,
yeah.
I think that's what, they said, you know what, it's not worth complaining anymore. That's what I say.
Some people do that. Some people just say, well, nothing's going to happen, I'm not going to complain no more. But that neighborhood watch group has started meeting up again, so I advise you to go ahead and go to it.
I'll bet you if I go up there, I'll hear the same thing I heard 10 years ago. And nothing's going to happen.
Well, I think if you give it a try and see what happens, give them a chance.
Okay, I'll get off now, guys.
Give me a call at home sometime. I'd like to meet with you, okay? I'd like to meet with that guy,
Yeah.
I think I know him. When we started that, they tried to get to the problem early, John. And they were, it felt like I saw them slip away one by one. And I even told them one time, there was this one incident, I remember, I got a call from the mayor and he goes, what the heck's going on up there? His secretary, Jill Beck, called me.
Oh, yeah.
He had gotten like 3 or 4 phone calls in the morning, which is unusual, from the same neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, you're going to get a lot more, but it dried up after that.
Yeah.
So the next time I went to the meeting, I said, you know what? if you expect, Councilman Thompson, Councilman Mursky, and myself, the controller, to help you, you have to follow through with the phone calls.
Yes.
You can't be afraid,
Yeah, right, you gotta call.
You
make
had,
them
I said,
calls.
for a short time, you had his attention,
Yeah.
and you lost it. I said,
You gotta make them calls. You gotta keep calling it in. They gotta build a case. I mean, even the police system is cumbersome
Yeah.
where, if you see a drug house, well, they gotta do 29 different things to be able to bust
and look
that
how long
drug
it took
house.
them to close down that bar and stuff.
Exactly.
You know.
It just doesn't happen overnight. And I know people want to see things happen. You see a drug problem or you see a bad house in your neighborhood, and you want it to happen overnight, but the system just doesn't allow it. And you have to just keep preaching that. Somebody, I'm sure, is doing something about it if you called it in.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to happen right away.
I mean, people look at me and they say, well, you're telling me, I hear the same old, story from me, and I said, we cannot declare blight on a house under state law. It's complicated.
Right, yeah, you just can't.
I mean, you look at a house and you and I would say, yeah, it's blighted.
Right.
But the state says no.
Yeah.
And you go,
You got to meet these 39 criteria or whatever.
and what I would tell people, just what I tell them, you're preaching to the choir with some of the councilmen and the local officials. You need to attack the problem where it can be changed, and that's at the state level.
State level, yeah.
So, make yourself so bad that their phones are burning up, they have to replace them.
Yeah.
At
All your
Harkins,
stations.
Bizarro,
Absolutely.
Brad Roy, all of them.
Yep.
Call them and tell them this is what you want, because they tell me there's a frustration because when you look at Pennsylvania, there are more rural legislators than urban.
Mm-hmm.
So the urban guys have a tough time getting anything passed. But yet the cities need help. I mean, we got to change our blight laws.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot that has to be changed.
That's why, we always ask, like you brought up about the quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need? We're not in a position, we don't know what you
No,
need.
you don't know what they need.
So
They
what do
gotta
you
come
need,
to you and say, hey, this is what we got to have, be able to do our job,
So ask for it. We'll write an ordinance up and we'll,
Yeah, that's why I say this quality of life thing is very important. Let these guys be able to give a ticket right on the spot.
But,
Just like anything else.
the people are frustrated. You look at the neighborhoods you've been involved in and others.
Oh, yeah, I've looked at a refrigerator across the street from me for 3 weeks without the door off, with the door on the front lawn. I shouldn't have to look at that for 3 weeks. 3 couches down the street from me. We looked at them for 3 weeks. There's no reason for that to happen.
But we all have to take control of our neighborhoods again.
But you got to call it in. And that's what it took. It took us to call it in. It took us emails. Telling the neighbor, even the code guy did his job. He put the little sticker on the door that says, call this number, we'll come pick it up. They didn't even do that.
And, if they're afraid that they don't want their name in there, they can call me or call somebody.
Call somebody.
I'll just say, hey, I'm calling for somebody else.
Absolutely.
And they're afraid for obvious reasons,
Yeah, just call somebody. To call that number, you'll get a little number, they'll come and they'll pick it up, and it's gone.
What they
We
should
don't
do
have
is
to worry about it.
put a force council to give Moss another guy there. His department. We'll have to give him another call.
Yeah.
Because he does a good job.
He does a heck of a job.
But he's going to be, if we have to hire another
intern.
intern or something, we'll do it,
Yeah, no, he does a great job with things. Yeah.
But he's getting overloaded because, people are seeing,
Well,
what
the
happens
word's
is.
getting out now.
What,
Call this number.
Because,
And things work, it happens.
like, I think what it needed to be done, and I'll give the mayor credit for this, when a councilman or somebody complains, nothing was happening. They listened, but
Yeah.
life went on.
Right.
They had cover. I think now they don't have the cover. I think, the mayor and the administration have said, they're going to listen a little bit more. So that when Moss talks now, he talks with something backing him up.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the difference.
And that was a great thing that the mayor did, was putting that line out there, because,
We had one years ago.
yeah, we had when Flippy started it, I think. Yeah.
But at our end, we have to follow through now.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Go ahead, caller.
All right, guys. Hey, while you was talking about that Mercyhurst stuff, I heard that new president wants to have everybody living on there.
Yeah, he's tried his best, but even he will tell you privately that it's going to be a tough nut because you look at that dorm, it's costly.
Yes.
But
Oh, yeah.
he's going to do the best he can, and, you won't get rid of all of them. But then the problem is, and I think John will agree, once you get the kids out of those houses, will you be in worse shape or better shape?
Now you got empty houses.
Yeah, now you got empty houses, and what's the landlord going to put in there?
Right.
So we have to hop on the landlords, and I applaud the president for trying to do that. But I could live with the college kids, and I told them this. I've talked to these kids quietly sometimes. What we need to do is go in there at the beginning of the year, introduce ourselves, and tell them, hey, you know what? You live in a neighborhood, and we're glad you're here, and we want you to be welcome. But you got to understand our point too. Mm-hmm. We know you're young and you're going to party, right. And we can put up with that up to 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Right. But after that, you got to tune it down.
Take it inside.
And I think if the kids would realize that, look, we know they're young, but take care of your house, and you live in a neighborhood. You're not this ain't Animal House on.
Just don't disturb people, and life will be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, sir?
Well, that's about right.
I mean, I don't mind kids. I got kids at the top of the hill now. I don't even know they're there. But that was a mindset change from the landlord.
Yeah.
And some of those kids aren't bad. I remember one day we were pushing a guy out of the snowdrift. I had never met him before. Mm-hmm. But we got to go in there and tell them, hey, you know what? This is not Animal House. It's not like you see on TV. This is a real neighborhood.
Then the landlord's got to back it up too.
Sure.
Go to these kids and say, hey, look, I've got 3 complaints this month from you. Something's going to happen. You guys are moving.
But they don't care. There's a lot of them.
Right.
You find out who the good ones are.
Yes.
I got you on the line. What about that viaduct? They going to do that this year or not?
Well, we were supposed to, but now the last word I heard, because of the court challenge, I think the Commonwealth has taken the lead in that, and they're trying to get the judge to make a decision because there was a challenge put on it because we were ready to go. The contracts are signed. The company was all lined up. In fact, the company that's working on the sidewalk around the bridge, that's the company that's going to take it down, and they're up here to do not only that but Interchange Road project. Okay. So we got them at a good price, and they're up here. Yeah. It just that the legal proceedings are holding that up now.
So what happens if it gets into wintertime?
Well, obviously they're not going to be able to do it, and the real problem is going to be, even though we got a contract with this company, are they going to hold forever?
Yeah.
Right now we got 90% of the bill being paid by the state and federal government. And, it was a decision, look, right or wrong, I was an advocate for keeping it, but many years ago they voted to take it down. There was a process. And, steps have been taken every year since that time. Money was released slowly for studies, for construction, for engineering and all that. And so the last contract was signed not too long ago. That was to take it down.
All right. Well, take it easy.
Yeah, just stay tuned because you really at this point, I'm going to ask at the next meeting that we get an update from the engineer. But the way I heard it was it's being held up right now. Go ahead, caller.
Got a quick question. John, you said that they picked up a refrigerator? I thought they weren't allowed to pick up refrigerators with Freon gas.
No, the landlord finally came and got it.
Oh, I see. But, you're talking about landlords. We had one up here renting out to some college kids. I won't say which college. But they finally left. He had to come in and do the whole house over. They urinated on the walls. They left beer cans and light fixtures. They had to rip the whole house apart, and now he won't rent to college kids.
Well, evidently he learned a lesson. He should have been on top of that a little bit quicker, I would think.
Yeah.
Oh, all I think he was doing was just collecting his rent.
Yeah,
and then when he went in after they left.
What you need to do is come in and collect the rent at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, go inside and collect the rent.
At least take a look.
I think he's allowed to go inside, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So, but I just thought, well, it's been a good, interesting day, and I like your comment to that woman to go down to the meeting down at the Lamb of God down there, and I'm sure if you complain enough, they'll handle it.
Well, what we, way back when I met people like John, and I'm not blowing smoke up him because he's here, but, he's tried a long time, and so have others down there, to try to change the culture in people's minds. And I think going forward in what we call the new Erie, we're going to all have to do that. We're going to have to take stewardship of our areas. Pardon?
The Lamana. You know what the Lamana is?
No, what's that? The
hand.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say one thing for the parking authority. I saw one of the girls giving a parking ticket to somebody parked down on 38th Street, right in the middle of the sidewalk.
Good.
She wrote out the ticket, so.
Yeah, I think we're doing nice things now, but it's going to be, we all got to take a little responsibility in our neighborhood.
Well, it's like all the kids that have to stay on campus now. It's hurting these landlords, and their piece of cake is over the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won't stop all of it, John, but I think it's going to calm it down a little bit, but.
One thing you got to remember too, caller, is that the parking authority is an 8 to 4 job. So if somebody's parked on the lawn at 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
they ain't going to see it till the next
Which
day.
is why what we were hoping, and.
Well, this one she was sharp. She was around.
During the day, I mean, they go right after them.
But I do have one complaint. There was a boat parked on Burton on there about 42nd Street. It was there for about a week, and they didn't tag that boat. They should have tagged it and then towed it away.
Oh, give me a call if it's a parking authority issue. I'll get you the answer, because I'm the liaison on that one.
Well, I know Mr. Massing.
Yeah. Well, ask him.
Yeah.
Well,
He may not be able to tag boats. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what.
As weird as the law is, who knows,
Yeah.
got a guy I know that his meter's still running up in Wintergreen Gorge.
Yeah, I told him I'm going to go up there and I'm going to put a slug in there.
I'm going to put
Whitey
a void
Cleaver.
on it. Have a good one.
Whitey's got on his tombstone, he's got a parking meter.
Oh, does he really?
I told him to stick a slug in there someday. But, no, John, people talk, we're trying to get the parking authority to put a person on at night.
Yeah.
And that's something we have to figure out how to fund it, which is why we gave them some of our revenue to help them facilitate this new parking that they're doing.
Oh, yeah,
Because it all comes at a cost.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Everything's a cost. I mean, the new meter thing is fantastic.
It's got some bugs, and I'm getting calls.
We'll
but-
work them out.
Yeah, man.
It's new, but it's kind of neat. I can sit here right now, and the thing tells me I got 10 minutes left. I know I'm going to be here 20 minutes with you. I'll just punch a couple of buttons, boom,
Yeah,
I'm good.
it's great,
I don't have to go run out there, throw another quarter in the thing.
And it took 4 years to get that because,
Yeah.
well, I mean, we had to, there were studies, we had to retune how we did things at City Hall.
Sure.
As far as ordinances. So it was a process where it was always moving forward, but we had to decide how we would help them financially.
Yeah.
Because, in the past, the Park Authority has helped us in bad situations.
Sure.
And they've never come to us
Gotta
for
work
money.
together a little bit.
And they've never had the money, money issues.
Yeah.
So we haven't had to bail them out. But I know people hate them, but they do their job well.
They do their job.
But I'd like to have you on again sometime.
Sure. Yeah, let me know when.
I think you offer a good, a lot of people don't understand how the neighborhood watches work and all.
Yeah, if you're not in a certain neighborhood, or even if you are in a certain neighborhood, you might not know if there's a neighborhood watch group in your area. Maybe you don't know when they meet. Maybe you just moved to a new area and you just don't know.
And you're new NRO director, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to have you on as the NRO director because, your
You're
predecessor.
pretty much the same.
Your predecessor did a nice job.
Yeah, Dave.
And I think people don't understand how good this organization is that
Yeah. Well, we try. I mean,
you
we try to
enable
work for the
people to,
we try to help the people.
So, feel free if you'd like to come on sometime.
Yeah, let me know whenever you want me, and I'll come on.
Yeah, you got, anytime you want, just give me a call and we do the show. I think, people like to have, they like to hear, I've been trying to get other people to come on here and talk
Yeah.
about different facets.
Oh, we can line some people up for this.
Because, I don't think the public knows a lot of things of what your organization does.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just working with the neighborhood watch groups, that's our big thing.
Well, I remember when he went in there
Helping
the
them
first time Dave did, and he said, we'll get you grants, we'll help you.
Yeah, we'll help you.
And the college was funding it too,
Yes. Yeah, so, we'll do the best we can for you, help you out.
Uh-oh, that's the 1 minute. So
Oh, the 1
anything
minute.
you want to wrap up with, John?
No, I'm good, Kaz. I'll gladly
I want to thank you
come
for
back.
bailing me out. I
Oh,
just,
thank you. Yeah, it was just a meeting upstairs that I see you, give you that big wave. I said, well, come on and sit.
yeah, I ramble when you're up here. It's nice
Yeah,
to have
you're by
somebody.
yourself, yeah. Yeah, because then you're losing track sometimes.
But not because you're here, but you're one of those people that years ago, took the bull by the horns, and
Well, we try to keep it nice, and that's where we live. So.
and that's what the guy I remembered was Mr. Thompson,
Jimmy Thompson.
not Alex and not
Jimmy.
Jimmy, but this gentleman lived at 4th and Walnut.
Oh, okay.
an old gentleman, and
Yeah.
I used to drop my daughter off there for ballet lessons at the Bayfront.
Okay.
And he and I would talk, and he'd go, you know, and he was right. Life was simple. If everybody took care of their house,
They went to work, they took care of their house, they came home, had a couple of beers,
and
watched
everybody
TV,
attacked the
went to
problem
bed.
early before it got bad, you know.
Well, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, if you didn't take care of it, your neighbor, it's like the same thing, you went to school.
Yeah.
You got in trouble at school, you got in trouble back at home too.
But now we, you know,
Now we've kind of lost that.
yeah, you ride around the city, and they go, this didn't happen overnight, you know.
No, God, no, this has been years and years and years.
I
in
joke
the
with people that in the 60s and 70s, you know, I was visiting friends down in these neighborhoods. But they're all gone now.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, some of the houses are gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that happened too. So it's what it is, you know, we just got to move forward with it.
Yep.
That's all.
Well, thank you for coming on, John.
Oh, no problem, Cass.
Thank you for your service,
I'll be
too.
back. Thank you.
And we'll see you here, I think, next week, Monday.
Monday?
Yep, I'll be back on the air. Should be.
What time?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock Monday?
Yep, we do the show.
Okay.
Feel free if you'd like to come by again, okay?
Yeah, I will.
We always got an extra chair, so.
Monday, 1400. Gotcha.
Oh, I can tell.
I'll make a note.
You got the notes, huh?
I got a note. If I don't make a note, I'm not going to make it.
Using that military time.
Yeah.
We'll see you, there we go.
All right. All right. Good.
You have been watching Taxpayers Hotline, recorded live from the fabulous city of Erie, Pennsylvania.